Australia prepares to scale down its commitment in Afghanistan from next year, a former Defence Minister is warning his government colleagues not to slash military spending in the May budget. Joel Fitzgibbon says he's also disappointed that Australia's plans for a new fleet of submarines appears to be well behind schedule. Political reporter Andrew Green is speaking to Mr Fitzgibbon in Canberra.
Joel Fitzgibbon, welcome to ABC News 24.
It's a pleasure.
It's been a very big week for news out of Afghanistan. Firstly, to these overnight developments with the photographs emerging of soldiers apparently posing with dead body parts. What, as a former Defence Minister, does these incidents really send shudders through you?
Well, they distress me, and I'm sure they distress every current Defence Minister around the globe. They certainly don't help our cause in Afghanistan, but they're really isolated. This is 2, 3, 4, I'm not sure how many soldiers out of tens of thousands, and it doesn't reflect the view and the approach by soldiers more generally.
Did it used to make you nervous when these incidents happen for the safety of our troops?
Oh, of course. And being Defence Minister at a time when we're at war is a difficult time, and it's a crisis within it. And you face many difficult management issues, but you work with them.
This week, the Prime Minister's given a revised outline of Australia's withdrawal from Afghanistan. Is this a timetable that's perhaps more dictated by the unpopularity of this conflict, or more about what the United States has in terms of its plans?
No, it's not. I reject that absolutely. I've just returned from NATO. I had 3 days of in-depth briefings from that organisation. Of course, they are the umbrella organisation for Afghanistan. This reflects our success, really. We went to Afghanistan to keep Australians safer, and by any objective measure, we've achieved that aim. We didn't go there to create a model democracy or to secure total equality for women or to ensure that we enforce human rights. We went there to protect Australians. We've done that. Now we need to secure those gains to make sure that they can't be reversed, to make sure the lives given weren't given in vain. And this is a result. What we've done successfully allows us to put this exit strategy in place.
We're often told, though, that it was a mission aimed at protecting Australian lives in terms of terrorism. What will be left once we depart? Will that threat just re-emerge?
No, I don't believe so. There's this assumption on the part of some that if the exit happens too quickly, we'll see terrorism bred and launched out of Afghanistan again. Now, that is somewhat a risk. If we don't ensure over the next decade we keep contributing in a way which secures the gains. But you can't assume Afghanistan after the withdrawal is the same Afghanistan post-2001. Post-2001 we had a Taliban government willing to play host to terrorist organisations like Al-Qaeda, prepared to support them and give imprimatur to their activities. I can't see any government post-withdrawal being prepared to do any of those things.
What do you make of the retired General John Cantwell's comments when he questions whether the loss of Australian lives have been worth it?
Well, you can't measure a single life, let alone 32 of them. You can't put a value on them. It's a difficult question, and I understand he struggles with it. I used to struggle with it. But I absolutely believe we went into Afghanistan for the right reasons. I absolutely believe we've been successful in terms of our key objective. And I believe if we do the right thing and remain committed over the course of the next decade, and that will by necessity include special forces operations, then this will have been worth it.
On that next decade, the Afghan ambassador, in fact, this week told us we could be there until 2025. Is that time frame too long for the Australian public to accept?
Well, the majority of our combat troops will come home 2013, 14. It is true that we will continue to be making a contribution for a long time. After that, no one knows how long. Certainly we'll be making a financial contribution, an aid contribution, but to ensure that the Afghan security forces are able to secure our gains, we will also need to be making a special forces contribution.
Finally, a report from the Strategic Policy Institute today warns that the government could be left without any submarines as it moves to replace the former Collins-class submarines. You were the Defence Minister when the White Paper was written on the new submarines. Were you too ambitious?
And you'll recall that the front page of the White Paper was a photograph of a number of submarines. The submarine ambition was a centrepiece of the White Paper. It recommendations on submarines was based on the most in-depth strategic assessment, and on that basis we need to continue with our ambition.
Did it take too long to start fulfilling that ambition?
Well, I heard Andrew Davies himself today say that if we were going to be successful in our ambition, then we needed to work on the replacement before the ink dried on the white paper. We obviously haven't done that. That disappoints me. I don't know what's gone wrong within the system, but now it's time to start catching up.
And finally, do you fear that Defence may be in for some pretty drastic budget cuts come the May budget?
Well, defence is a bit like insurance. You can choose not to take it. And in the political context, it might not cost you any votes, but we live in a rapidly changing region. We are a small island continent, somewhat isolated from the rest of the world. We need that insurance, and we need to continue to commit to that 2009 white paper.
Joel Fitzgibbon, thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure.